Good afternoon, you all. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm honored to have here with us the Fulton County Sheriff, Patrick Labatt, who is going to be addressing you first. Kurt Erskine, the United States Attorney for the Northern District, as well as Officer Coit, Captain Sergeant Coit. Sorry, I think he has Assistant Chief Coit. I never know should it be Captain or Assistant Chief Coit. And members of my staff, Michael Carlson, who is the head of the Major Crimes Division, are all joining us here today. We wanted to speak to you. We've all been getting calls from the community about their concerns regarding what happened at Piedmont Park, and I wanted to allow Sheriff Labatt to address you first.
First of all, good afternoon. I do want to take an opportunity to thank my team as well, Chief Deputy Antonio Johnson, Lieutenant Colonel Willis, and certainly many of you have seen Captain Butler out and about. The summer is absolutely a challenging time for us, and we certainly see an increase in that space and that time. As we continue to really think about how we affect crime, one of the things that your sheriff's office has done is created a Think Twice, Save a Life program. This initiative in and of itself is, you'll see countywide signage, but more importantly, you'll see countywide and Fulton County patrols as we continue to go out and about and urge our citizens, our community, to really put down weapons, to be in a space where you think twice before you pull the trigger. Often we see a small disagreement escalate into something that is really life-changing for all parties involved. The Think Twice, Save a Life program itself it coincides with the national response to violence across the country with respect to gun violence and what it's targeting. I believe the conversation, though, is quite simply around how do we intervene and how do we create programs such as Think Twice, Save a Life to really combat crime in our communities. So let me share with you really quickly some of the things that your Fulton County Sheriff's Office is doing. We have increased the number of patrols to include those areas that have been recently affected through violent crime. We have put more deputies on the street. That is one of our key partnerships with APD and with other jurisdictions across the country. Our goal is to eventually get to 200 additional deputies on the street. Now, nearly 1 month ago, we started a Scorpion unit, and while many thought we were out of our leagues, Michael Cuffey, when we started this, we really we were laser focused on going after violent offenders. This crime suppression unit, be it new, specializes in gangs, investigations, and really reducing gang activity and violence and creating an overall safer Fulton County. Within the first few weeks, let me tell you what the Scorpion unit's been able to do. In conjunction with GSP and certainly our partners at the Atlanta Police Department, we've run 4 joint operations. We've had 32 individual details. That has resulted in 15 felony arrests, 13 misdemeanor arrests, as well as 13 wanted persons located. Nearly 250 citations, 3 vehicles recovered, stolen vehicles recovered, and 2 weapons, including an AR-15. So in February, many of you may remember, we started a Rapids crime reduction program. That is to leverage technology, figure out how we together through technology sharing, can really get in front of this conversation. The reinvestment grant itself is from the National Sheriff's Association, and the Bureau of Justice Assistance has provided nearly $3 million for us to interact with the FBI, interact with our local jurisdictions to really make people understand and rest assured that we are getting in front of the conversation. Now, the grant itself, through technology, focuses on not just the arrest and the booking process, but through to convictions, release, probation, reentry, as well as technology platforms to increase data sharing. So we've done that, but not just in Fulton County. It extends to Cobb County, Gwinnett County, DeKalb, and Henry, so that we can do a better job sharing information. We are continually focused on strengthening our relationships, certainly with Madam DA and her staff. What this looks like across the county is a collaborative effort for us to improve communications. Chief Bryan and I from APD, as well as the other chiefs, meet regularly and constantly figure out how we can do a better job from that perspective. And the note here is leadership starts at the top. We're pushing that message down. You'll see Fulton County change. One of the things that Madam DA and I discuss on a regular basis is how Fulton County in and of itself looks differently, feels differently. You can commit the same crime, driving on a suspended license, in Cobb County and Gwinnett, and get up to a year in jail. Here, in Fulton County, you're likely to get probation. In Sandy Springs, you can commit disorderly conduct and get 6 months in jail. Here in Atlanta and Fulton County, you're probably signing yourself out before the police officer gets out the back of the Sally Port, sign your own bond and get out. There's stark differences that you will see the way Madam DA and I not just communicate, but attack crime. And so as we get ready to move into a new space, our goal is to really set the tone of what new Fulton County looks like. And people say, well, what do you mean? You know, we're working in partnership to put in a stop to this myth that Fulton County is a place where you go to commit crime. Our goal is to be laser focused on making sure that our citizens are safe where they work, live, and play. So as we continue to patrol the streets, as many people thought Fulton County Sheriff's Office could not do, you see before you and the results of us getting out, making sure our job is to go after those that mean us no harm. So with that, I will tell you, in closing, I will tell you this. We simply want to stay focused on those that are doing us no harm, and you have been warned, stay out of Fulton County.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Madam DA, for inviting us. I am Kurt Erskine. I'm the acting United States Attorney. I'm joined today by Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Philip Whistler, who is here from the FBI. We are here in a supportive capacity to stand side by side with our state, local law enforcement partners. The United States Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Georgia and the FBI are assisting Atlanta Police Department and the Fulton County District Attorney's Office with the investigation, and we stand here with them. We have pledged to assist in any way that would be helpful to their investigation or would further their work. And so we remain supporting and committed to that support. We pledge the assistance to APD and District Attorney Willis in this capacity and stand ready to lend our collective federal resources to bring to justice whoever perpetrated this terrible murder. Thank you.
We believed it was important to come forward today to make sure that the public knew that we were united. And when I say we, I'm talking about the Atlanta Police Department, the Fulton County Sheriff, the United States Attorney, and the FBI regarding this horrible murder of Catherine Jennings at Piedmont Park on July 27th. Metro Atlanta is understandably concerned. The United States Attorney and myself have talked about how many calls we have gotten from the public about this case and how concerned and frightened people are. We've also talked about the distraction of unnecessary rumors. But as leaders in the community who work to make all of us as safe as possible, we have heard from these people, and we know that this is an important crime and that the public is watching and waiting. My colleagues and I are here to just let the public know that it is not a crime that is going unnoticed. It is a crime that we are collectively putting our resources in and working together to solve. One reason that I thought that it was so important that Sheriff Labatt come here today to tell you some of the general efforts that he was doing is because those cars that we've heard about and that people kind of laughed about him putting on the street, those cars have helped to enable to make sure that there is more security and safety around not just Piedmont Park, but all of our parks. And as soon as I called him and said this was a concern and discussed with him what I was hearing from the public, he immediately did that. Those types of collaborations have not happened in the past, and it is important that our leaders are willing to do that when they are called upon. We are here today, though, to ask the public to put some safety measures of their own in place to make sure that they do things that move safely, like go out in public with several people with you when you're going to the park. I love Piedmont Park as well, but at this time we're asking that you go with 3 or 4 friends when you're there, and that you're not alone at night, and that we just make sure that we all take safe precautions. We're here because we would like to address any questions that we can answer and that will not interfere with the investigation. As you know, my office will ultimately be responsible for prosecuting it, and so we don't want to do anything today that would interfere with the investigation, but we do want to send a strong message to the public that the federal government, the local government, to be the city and the county, are all working together to support efforts to make sure that this crime is solved. Thank you.
There are many murders in Fulton County and the city of Atlanta. Why this one? Why does this get this type of resources and all these agencies coming together? Can you explain that?
You're correct. In every murder, in every case, requires different resources. Some cases require expert witnesses where the office has to go out and hire experts to come in. Some cases we look at and we instantly know that there are expertises and resources that the federal government has, and so we call upon them to help. But every case is treated very seriously, and this case, because there had not been a murder in Piedmont Park so long, because it is a public treasure, because of this is as I heard Chief Bryant say at his thing, a town where shootings are here, and this involved a different measure. We thought that it was necessary, and so what we're doing, what is necessary to solve this case.
Yeah, could you explain what threshold this case met to invite the FBI in so early on? Why the FBI did soon?
I think that sometimes you go out, so every case in Atlanta, so that we're clear, when there is a homicide in Atlanta, my office reports to that case immediately. That night, that morning, whatever time of day it happens, we send a trained investigator from Mr. Carlson's unit and a lawyer there. And so APD in Fulton County, we regularly work together. We stay out of their way, but we are always a resource for questions for them. Sometimes when I have questions, though, it's not the smartest thing to think that you know everything. We know that maybe the feds will have the kind of answers we need. In this case, we thought from the beginning, and APD wisely thought from the beginning, that it would be important to get some of the resources of the federal government to look into this case, and so that's why.
I know it may be premature, but and if you can shed light on what kind of charges, to your knowledge, this case would warrant. Are we looking at a potential capital murder case? If you can shed light on how serious the breadth of the charges are.
I'm not going to go into additional charges. I mean, obviously, this would be a malice murder case and aggravated assault just based on the actions, but every charge we won't know until an investigation is complete. So it is much too early to say that.
Is there anything new you're able to tell us about the investigation? Anything police are looking for specifically, that your office is looking at specifically? Anything that we could tell the public about what to be aware of?
What we would ask that you take from today to tell the public is to behave in a way that is safe. That is really the message that we want. We want them to have confidence that all of these agencies have come together so that we can work to solve this particular crime. But we also want them to just take safe measures, and we want them to understand that this case is a priority.
I can only imagine how many calls and questions the public has brought to you guys. What have been some of the conversations, some of the concerns that you've heard of?
Well, of course, we've all heard this rumor of a serial killer in the loose in Atlanta, and other cases from other jurisdictions that neighbored us, that these were connected. We have no evidence of that at this point, but that has been one of the concerns surrounds the Piedmont property. There have been questions of, is this a hate crime? And it is really too early to answer those calls. But we certainly every law enforcement agency up here are hearing those kind of calls. And we hear the fear in a community that is usually safe.
Are you also hearing, I've been up there quite a bit, I've heard a lot of people question whether the park is safe, whether there's enough security enhancements out there, i.e. lighting, more police presence, and operational cameras. Are you hearing anything along those lines?
Well, what I can tell you is that is one of the reasons I thought it was important that the public hear that not only has Atlanta Police Department put patrols out there, but the Fulton County Sheriff's Office also has cars out there. So we are taking additional safety measures to make sure the park is safe.
District Attorney Willis, shifting gears just a bit. Gary McKinney was arrested yesterday.
Yes.
On a host of charges. I haven't been able to get any of the actual charging documents, but among them are gang affiliation, gang charges essentially. Which gang is he accused of attempting to be a member of?
Well, that case, you're right, there was an arrest on that case yesterday. I'm sure you all will remember, and those who don't know, he's referring to the Sequoia Turner incident. Several months ago, I requested that the Georgia Bureau of Investigations join with the Atlanta Police Department on the work that they had done, and that they go out and investigate, and that they specifically investigate the element of gangs. The Georgia Bureau of Investigations has done a wonderful job. They've done a timely job, and they have delivered to us not only that arrest, but lots of documents that my office is going through. We expect to bring down indictments in that case as early as next week, and I believe that at that time we can have a more thorough conversation on that matter.
I cannot help but notice you have not answered my question.
I tried.
Is this an example, though, of how gang activity can really spiral out of control? We were kind of following the threads back through that, and that seems to relate to a lot of other really kind of profiled cases that we're following.
Well, if you're paying attention, and it's what I keep saying over and over again, sometimes I feel like I'm screaming at the wall, we have a gang problem in Fulton County and the metro areas surrounding it. And that gang violence is harming people, to include children. And so we are taking it very seriously. We are working with the same agencies that you see standing here today, as well as the GBI, to solve it. And we are taking a tough stance on it. And we're going to be bringing charges that are appropriate for those acts.
Is there a message to the person who took Ms. Jonas's life?
The message is that all of law enforcement is focused right now. We are paying attention. We take this murder very seriously. We want our citizens to feel safe, and that we expect to bring them to justice.
Are you confident that it's one person? Could there be other people involved in this?
The investigation is too early to tell that.
And one other question on the Sequoia Turner case. We heard early on there'd be up to maybe 4 people involved. Are you expecting more arrests in that case?
I am expecting that investigations, I've said before, in other cases are like onions, and as you peel things back, I'm sure that other people of interest and maybe even other charged people will come.
Sheriff Labat? And boy, it's kind of cool to say that. Hey, how are you?
Thank you, George.
Yesterday at the Fulton County Commission, they approved a deal with Cobb County to move 500 prisoners into the Cobb County prison. What does that mean for the negotiations that are taking place to use the Atlanta City Jail?
So first, let me be clear. It is up to 500. All right. So one thing we wanted to work with the Board of Commissioners on was to not have to repeatedly go back. And so again, as I mentioned earlier, possible uptick in crime, possible COVID and the variant. Right now we have 303 individuals that are sleeping on devices, and notwithstanding the lack of negotiations with the city, it is my responsibility to treat people humanely. And so we have entered, based on the negotiation, the legislation yesterday, into negotiations with Cobb County. We're able to do that. Cobb County has been gracious in terms of their population is down, so we certainly can do that. Now, with respect to the negotiations in Atlanta, I did forward our conversation with the mayor and her team to the Board of Commissioners. There were several things in the negotiations that, one, did not fall under my purview, and two, we will continue to have conversations. So ultimately, the negotiation with Cobb goes 6 months, and so maybe we revisit it at that point.
The other thing you mentioned was the Scorpion unit. I'm intensely curious about that. Will you be able to make somebody from that unit's leadership available for a longer conversation?
Yes, absolutely.
I appreciate that.
Okay, no worries.